Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Hope everyone slept well last night. I didn't, I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty tired. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good day today, a good morning and everything. And yeah, so I was thinking about what to talk about for today, as I always do, because I usually don't know what to talk about whenever I'm scheduled. And I was thinking about my life recently, just like thinking about, oh, what should I talk about? What should I say? What should I, whatever. And the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about what's been going on in my life recently was the gym. I'm sorry, I talk about the gym all the time. It's like the first thing that comes to mind whenever I think about like recent life changes and stuff like that. And just last week, it's almost been 2 weeks now actually. I've been on this supplement called creatine, and so creatine. Just a little science lesson. What creatine does is it takes like the water from like your blood and somewhere from wherever, I don't know where, but like it takes water from your body and it puts it into like your like muscles. So like your muscles become bigger and fuller, and like you get stronger and stuff like that, right? So I started taking it a while ago, and excuse me. And as of recently, I get like so thirsty nowadays. Like I drink so much water. I used to drink like maybe like 3 bottles a day maybe of water. Like I didn't really drink that much. But now I'm drinking like a gallon of water like every day. Like it's a lot more water than I'm used to. So during like every part of the day, I'm like I feel bloated. I feel like big. I feel like fat and everything like that. It's a whole new thing for me, a whole new change. But like I know that like while it may be like tough to like start getting used to that and all that, I know it's good because I'm investing in my health, right? I'm investing in my my physical body and my physical well-being and stuff like that, right? So I was thinking about the idea of investing and just the whole like thing about it, and I started thinking about like relationships, investing in your relationships, investing in your friendships, investing in the people around you, right? So I want to talk about investing in relationships, and the title for my sermon today, I'm very proud of this one. If you could put it up on the screen. Heart on your sleeve. Can everyone say heart on your sleeve? Heart on your sleeve. It'll make sense later. Trust me. It'll make sense. So, investing in relationships, right? The first thing I want to talk about when it comes to investing in your relationships is why should you? Why should you care to invest in people anyway? Let's talk about that. So, if you could pull up the first verse for me. Right, John 15, 4-7. I'll just read it for you guys. So, this is Jesus talking to his disciples. Remain in me and I will remain in you. Just as no branch can bear fruit by itself without remaining in the vine, neither can you bear fruit, producing evidence of your faith unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. The one who remains in me and I in him bears much fruit. For otherwise, apart from me, that is cut off from vital union with me, you can do nothing. Next slide, thanks. If anyone does not remain in me, he is thrown out like a broken off branch and withers and dies. And they gather such branches and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, that is, if we are vitally united and my message lives in your heart, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. Amen. So the first point I want to talk about today, why should we invest in people? What's the point? The first point I want to talk about today is that investing brings about fullness. Can everyone say fullness? Thanks. Fullness. Hold on. Investing brings about fullness. I think relationships are a very special thing. Relationships are not only a special thing, but it's necessary in order to live out the human experiences. Without relationships in your life, you cannot live. Because as human beings, I learned in my social psychology class, I feel a little smart. So in my social psychology class, we were talking about relationships and having people around you. And my professor was talking about how relationships are so important because as humans, we are innately social creatures. We need to be social with our kind. Because if we're not, we can't learn how to work with people. We can't learn how to deal with people. We won't be able to learn how to just live normally without people, and it's super, super important. And I was actually listening to this podcast. It's called Southside Rabbi. It's is by this Christian rapper named KB and his best friend. It's like a podcast that they do. They talk about like different topics about a bunch of like living life as a Christian, things like that. And there's this one episode. It was actually it was in season 4. It was like a bonus episode. There was this one quote that really stood out to me, and it was this quote. The guy who made this quote, his name is C.S. Lewis. He's basically this theologian guy, British guy who's super famous and all that. And the quote that he said was, "Having intimate relationships is so important because we need lights other than our own to shine on all of our facets." We need people because people help us bring out everything that we can't bring out ourselves in us. If we live our lives alone, just walking our day-to-day by ourselves, we cannot live out our fullest potential as God called us to be. Having intimate relationships is so important because it helps us stay connected to people. It helps us stay grounded and not lose touch with reality. It's so important to have people around us who love us and care for us and push us to be better, better than how we are now. And it's especially important to have relationships with people from all different kinds of life, and not like be in a bubble of yes people, but have relationships with people who would have different opinions than you, right? Who think differently than you, have been brought up differently than you, Like, it's so important to have that. And I'm telling you this because I know firsthand what it's like to be surrounded by yes people and to live in a Christian bubble. That was literally me during my entire life, during middle school, during high school, and all that. Like growing up, I didn't actually like start off being like this extroverted person that like talks to people, like all different kinds of people and all that. I really just like kept to myself. And not only did I keep to myself, I actively tried to surround myself with people who were very, very similar to me, who had my beliefs, who agreed with the things that I believed in, and things like that, And at the time, I didn't realize that was super dangerous because when you surround yourself with yes people, you will never know, like, any other different perspectives, You'll never know other opinions, other ideas, and stuff like that. And not only did I not hear different opinions because I was surrounded by yes people, I was actually the type to never let people, like the people closest to me, have different opinions. Because the way I was back then, my mindset was that I believe I'm right. I believe that I'm a good Christian boy who knows the Bible and knows how to live life. And if I know what's right, that means I should tell my friends to do what I believe is right. And they can't say anything else because it's from the Bible, so I'm right. I unknowingly trapped myself in this bubble of self-righteousness. And as a result, I really did hurt the people around me. Just like by telling them what to do, by forcing how they should, like telling them that this is how you should live your life and things like that. I hurt people, and I never let people be themselves and tell me differently, or like argue with me otherwise, because then I would get like defensive and like, oh, like why would you say that? Like I didn't allow people to tell me differently, and as a result, I couldn't grow as a person. I would always stay stagnant, like throughout my entire middle school and high school. Like I would still be the same person, flawed as ever, and like I haven't changed since. And eventually, I realized. Of course, I had to learn the hard way after I heard people. I learned the hard way that, I don't know everything about life. I'm not going to be right 100% of the time. Even if I know, like, the stories in the Bible and, like, the lessons and things like that, I won't know everything. I'll be wrong. And that was hard for me to, like, accept at first, that the fact that I can be wrong, because I thought I knew everything. But I think that's what's so important about having relationships with people, Because when you have people with you that are willing to stick with you and tell you and like be 100% with you when you're wrong and when you've messed up, it's great because now you can see for yourself, like, yeah, you know what, you're right, I did mess up, I was wrong about this. That's why it's so important to have relationships with people, so they can keep you in check and keep you grounded, and you'll be able to see where you went wrong and learn different opinions and things like that. There was so much more to the world that I never would have known about at all if people had not brought it up to me, if people did not open my eyes and help me see that, And it's exactly the same thing when it comes to your relationship with God, It's important, like, what I've been like driving home this whole time, that having relationships with people is super important, yes. But it's even more important to have that relationship with God especially. Because, as I said, right, people can bring out like different sides of you, different facets of you, and help you bring out new things in you. But of course, people can only draw so much out of you. You understand? You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, people can help you like grow as a person and show you things that you didn't know about. But only your creator can bring out the most of everything in his creation. Amen? Right? You guys understand? Like, only God can help you see your entire like full purpose and potential as a person because he made you. Of course, he knows every single thing about you, And only God is the person that can shine his light on every single part of you so you can be the most complete version of who he has called you to be, And yeah, like relating back to the idea of the grapevine, right? Could you bring up the verse again, please? Relating back to the idea of the grapevine that we read in John, while we are connected to each other and while I'm telling you to like invest in people and like spend time with people and all that, of course, we have to make sure that we are connected to the source of life, which is Jesus. You can't invest in people if you yourself are not being filled. You guys understand? Like, you can't love people if you've never felt love. You can't forgive people if you don't know that you've been forgiven, right? You can't. You need to be filled up constantly so that you can fill other people. And when you fill other people, you can help people grow and help people feel welcomed and loved and all those things, So yeah, so that's why I think you should invest in people. Okay, cool. Cool, Ethan. Okay, I'll invest in people, sure. Cool. Well, what should I know going into it? Is there anything I should know about, like, before I start, like, really, really start doing it? Yes, there is. So if you could pull up the next verse, please, Galatians 6, verses 1 to 5. You're on top of it today. All right, so I'll just read it for you guys again. Brothers, if anyone is caught in any sin, you who are spiritual, that is, you who are responsive to the guidance of the Spirit, are to restore such a person in a spirit of gentleness, not with a sense of superiority or self-righteousness, keeping a watchful eye on yourself so that you are not tempted as well. Carry one another's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the requirements of the law of Christ. That is the law of Christian love. For if anyone thinks he is something special, when in fact he is nothing special except in his own eyes, he deceives himself. Next slide, thanks. But each one must carefully scrutinize his own work, examining his actions, his attitudes, and his behavior. And then he can have the personal satisfaction and inner joy of doing something commendable without comparing himself to another. For every person will have to bear with patience his own burden of faults and shortcomings for which he alone is responsible. Okay, then so what should I know about investing before going into it? One thing you should know about investing, one thing that it requires is vulnerability. Can everyone say vulnerability? No relationship has ever been real if there has never been a moment of hurt. Amen? No relationship is real if you've never been hurt. If you're surrounded by yes people who always agree with you, who always cater to you, accommodate for you, that relationship is not real. I hate to break it to you. In relationships, if there's a relationship with two flawed people, two people that are broken and not perfect, there will be hurt. I guarantee, there has to be. If there's no hurt, then that means there is no real relationship. There is no real intimacy. Because intimacy and investing in people, that requires vulnerability. And in order to enjoy the full benefits of a loving relationship, you need to be okay with the fact that you can get hurt. You need to be okay with that possibility. Because when you are willing to open yourself up to people and let people see the true side of you, the side that you don't really want other people to see, that's when real intimacy grows. That's when you really start to build a bond with people, If you never open up, you'll never get over that hurt that you've experienced in the past. You'll never get over it. And I'll be a little bit vulnerable myself today. Judah's actually not here in the room, but today I want to tell you guys a little story about my relationship with Judah, how things have gone, my friendship. So, me and Judah, we've known each other for like a long time. We've grown up with the church together, and since like Judah is like the pastor's kid, and like I'm like the son of the family of the pastor's assistants, like we both were always like the last two to stay at church, but we were always the last ones to leave because our parents were always doing something. Like whether it was like on Thursdays, on Fridays, on Saturdays, or Sundays, or Mondays, or whatever. Like whatever day, we were always at church like the last two. Back then, like I didn't really like talk to Judah that much, because like I said, I wasn't really extroverted. I just got kept to myself, played like games on my iPad or something like that. Like I didn't really do that much, I didn't really talk to him like that. But starting like 2 years ago, like I started to like, open up a bit, talk to him more, and like get to know him a little bit, right? And I got to learn a little bit more about him. I learned more about his personality, what he liked, what he didn't like, and stuff like that. And eventually, as time went on, as we started to hang out more and, whatever, there's been times that he has hurt my feelings, There's been times where he was either like rude to me, or like he talked down on me, or he spoke to me in a harsh way, make fun of me in front of everyone, like things like that, things that would hurt your feelings, and, it was like the little things. The little things started to add up for me, and as a result, I started to grow a feeling of like resentment towards Judah. I started to feel like I didn't really like want to be around him anymore. How could you say that? How could you do that? He really hurt my feelings, so I didn't really want to like get to know him or like be close and personal with him. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, I think I didn't really want to be vulnerable. Because, he was the one that, did me wrong, right? Like, why should I be the one to try to tell him how I feel? Why shouldn't he be the one that, comes up to me and say, hey, Ethan, I'm sorry I did this and that, whatever. Why should I be the one to say it, right? He's the pastor. He should know, right, about this kind of stuff. Like, why would he not do it, And that was my mindset going into it. And as a result, it really, worsened our friendship. I couldn't get along with the guy. He couldn't get along with me. We would argue. We would do all this stuff, and as a result, it would really make things awkward between us. It would make things tense, and even affect work with AGC and stuff, which meetings and whatever. We had a lot of problems, just to keep it simple, and I was tired of feeling that way. I kept it pent up for a month, a couple months, and eventually one day I decided to let it all out. I actually 3 days ago, I took the time to look for the text. It was May 30th of last year or something like that. I checked the text. It was a long one. It was huge. A really, really long essay. And yeah, I let out the beast, you know what I'm saying? I just let out everything on my mind. I was like, hey, Judah, I need to tell you this so that I don't blow up in front of everyone by accident, and then I just listed everything that I've ever felt he hurt me by, every situation, everything like that. And I gotta say, it was literally the best decision I've ever made, to be willing to be vulnerable even though I felt like he didn't deserve my vulnerability, because when I did that, when I told him how I felt, he told me how he felt, and I was able to see where Judah's head was at, you know what I'm saying? I was able to understand oh, he did this because he felt this way before then. Or he said this because I said something earlier that made him feel that way, which made me feel some sort of way too. We were able to come to an understanding of what was going on, And, as a result, we got better. We still butt heads. We still argue, just typical guys do, with egos and everything like that. And I still get upset. I still get annoyed. He does too. But I think at the end of the day, I am more at peace knowing that he cares about our friendship, that he cares and wants to make it our friendship work, And, I would never have known that Judah cares as much as he does if I never took the chance to be vulnerable, if I never took the risk to be vulnerable. Because being vulnerable is risky, right? There's a chance that you open up to people, but then they seem like they don't care, or they seem dismissive or anything like that, and that would really hurt. I for one know that would definitely hurt me if I were to tell my feelings about about something to someone and they'd be like, dude, like grow up, it's not that deep or whatever, you know, like that would really hurt my feelings, you know. But yeah, it's so important to be okay and accept the fact that sometimes in relationships you do have to be, not even sometimes, every time in relationships, you have to be okay with the possibility you can get hurt. Because being vulnerable with people will do so much more for you than the possible like hurt it can give you. You know what I'm saying? And going back to Galatians, it says in the Bible that as a family in Christ, we are called to carry each other's burdens, right? We are called to shoulder each other's weights, and that we are called to restore people whenever our brothers and sisters have fallen into sin. We are called to restore people in a spirit of gentleness, right? Can you go back to the first verse, please? We are called to restore people to a spirit of gentleness, right? Not with a sense of superiority or self-righteousness, right? Not in the spirit of, I know better than you, so you should follow what I say. You have to restore people and be 100% with people. Like tell them like straight up what's going on, but do it in a spirit of gentleness. Do it as in, hey, I care about you, I love you, so I think this is what I think. You know what I'm saying? And shouldering each other's burdens and weights, we cannot do that if we are not willing to be vulnerable to people and open up. If we don't open up to people, they can't shoulder our burdens, you know? And again, it's exactly the same with God. Every preacher at every church talks about how good God is, how loving he is, and how faithful he is, and stuff like that. Like, it's nice to hear, right? It's a feel-good kind of thing, but you'll never know that for yourself if you never open up to God either. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, you will never feel how good it is to be loved by God. You'll never feel how good it is to know that God is faithful, that he won't give up on you if you don't open up to him yourself. Same exact thing. So yeah, that's the first thing. Investing requires vulnerability. That's the first thing it's going to require. And the second thing it's going to require, before we get into that, I want to read a verse in John. So John 15:12-13. One of my favorite verses in the world. This is my commandment, that you love and unselfishly seek the best for one another, just as I have loved you. No one has greater love nor stronger commitment than to lay down his own life for his friends. The other thing that investing requires is not only vulnerability, but it also requires suffering. Can everyone say suffering? I'm sorry, it sounds so depressing, but like, keep with me, stay with me. I have a reason for saying this. When you invest in relationships, it will come at a cost. It will take your time, it will take your energy, it will take things out of you to be in a relationship. You have to give in order to invest, right? Because investing is giving something, right? Like, Judah, I was talking to Judah about it, and he gave me like a great analogy to explain the idea of laying down your life for your friends, investing in your friends, like in stocks, right? Like if you're trying to buy a stock, you have to give something of value, right? You have to spend money in order to receive something of value, right? And in order for you to reap fruit, in order for you to reap benefits, you have to lay good seed, good soil, and water it, right? Take care of it, right? And when it comes to the idea of like relationships and like family and friendships, if you want people who love you and care for you and check up on you and things like that, you have to be that friend first, right? Like, do you want friends that like hold you accountable and like keep you on the right track and check up on you and everything like that? Be that friend to people, you know? Do you want friends that will like stay in your life and be loyal to you and stick with you no matter what? Okay, be that friend first. The kind of people that you want in your life, you have to invest in other people and be that friend first. Things will not just come at you. Like, good things won't always just come your way like that. You have to proactively be that good to other people. Be the good that you want for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking about all this because this is something that I personally learned recently. The idea of being a good friend so that I can receive good friends myself, you know? Because The story I was telling in the beginning, I wasn't a good friend at the beginning, like in my middle school and high school days. Like I didn't know how to be a good friend. I just only knew how to take care of myself and do things for myself, you know? And as a result, I didn't have the friends that I wanted around me. So I felt super lonely and felt like by myself, you know? But I only just learned recently that in order for me to be surrounded by people who love and care for me and check up on me and go above and beyond and help me out whenever I need help, I have to be that friend for people first. And that took a long time for me to learn. I had to learn how to talk to people. I had to learn how to properly like check up on people and show people I care about them in a healthy way and not in like an unhealthy, forceful kind of way like I used to, you know? Like, that's what I really had to learn. And, you know, one important thing that I learned when it comes to investing in people and being a good friend is that all you gotta do, really, is just show up. That's all it takes to be a good friend. You won't, like, for example, right? Like, let's say, like, your friend comes up to you and says, hey, I'm dealing with this. Can I talk to you about it? And then they tell you, like, what's going on and stuff like that, right? You won't always know what to say, right? I'm sure you guys have been in that situation before. Like, you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. But at the end of the day, all you need to do is just be there. Be present in the situation. Just listen to them or, you know, just show up, you know? Like, just be there for them and, yeah, just listen. Yeah, like, people aren't asking for you to be the best friend in the whole world, the most perfect person, the one that knows everything, the one that, like, can do everything. People just need people. You know, the idea I was talking about at the beginning of being surrounded by people and being social and being connected with people. People just want connections. People want to feel that they are heard. People want to feel that they are wanted, you know? And all you gotta do to give that to them is just to be there, show up, you know? Even if you can't give anything, your presence is enough for everyone usually, you know? And one great way to start investing in your friends' well-being and like all that kind of stuff is by prayer and fasting, you know? Just recently, I started like taking like prayer requests. I didn't really do that much before because I never really like understood the whole like idea with it. Like, yeah, like pray for my friends, pray for my family that they'll be prosperous and like they'll be healthy. Like, I didn't really know what else to say like besides that, you know? But recently, I was talking to Judah about it because I wanted to find a way to spend more time with God, like in a productive way during the whole like Lent season. And he told me about prayer requests, like just asking people about what's going on in their lives. And after they tell you, just like say like, yeah, I'll pray for you. And I tried it. I tried like praying to God about like the stuff that was going on in people's lives. And you know, now that like I've done it for like at least like 2 weeks now, I really think it works. You know, like because I don't know. I think that just knowing like when people like when you ask people for like prayer requests, and like you ask them about it, ask for updates and stuff like that. For me, from what it seems like that people like that because they feel like someone cares about what's going on with them in their personal lives. You know. And it makes me feel good, too, praying for them, because when you pray and fast for people, you are investing time, right? You're investing time, you're investing energy, and seeing that investment grow into something big and, like, fruitful, it puts a smile on my face. You know, I feel like it'll put a smile on your faces as well with praying and fasting and all that kind of stuff. And, yeah, so if I could call the worship team back up, I'm just going to talk about one more thing when it comes to investing. The one thing I really have to say, in all honesty, is to really just invest in your relationship with God. I know I like to be up here, like joke around a little bit. I'm like to be a little light and keep things light and make people like laugh and things like that. But I really, truly have never been more serious when I say that investing in a relationship with God is the best decision you will ever make in your life. I promise. It's so good to know the love of Jesus in your life. It really is. I didn't really understand it that much either. Like, I grew up in church. I did all the church things. I know all the church stories. But, like, I never really felt the love of God in my life until just recently. But I'm telling you, that love is so good, man. It's worth everything that you give into it.